The Atari VCS is Atari's newest console, a modern set-top box that allows for people to download apps and streaming services, and of course, to play video games. But it's not home to the big names that most people think of in the video game industry. You won't have Bethesda, Rockstar, or Capcom releasing their titles on this little retro-inspired box. Instead, it's home to a lot of up-and-coming developers and people passionate about gaming and having their games seen and played by the wider world. While Steam is probably still the tops for these individuals, there's no doubt that the smaller, more curated collection of titles on the VCS 800 can allow for their games to stand out, especially since most owners of this little box are highly dedicated and loyal once they're won over. After all, we've been Atari fans since the 70s and 80s. Well, most of us. So in this series, I want to highlight those who are bringing games to the VCS 800. We can learn a little bit about who these people are, what games they are working on and releasing, and their thoughts and experiences with the Atari VCS 800, and maybe with the wider company of Atari themselves. And what better way to start than with one of the most unique developers/publishers on the console, LUCID Potato. LUCID Potato is led by an individual who goes under the moniker Tater Pants. We also have with us a good friend of the channel and longtime supporter, Braillynn, who helped us set up and facilitate this interview. So myself and Braillynn sat down and did a 2-on-1 interview with Mr. Pants to learn about LUCID Potato, their history in programming creating video games, and why they decided to choose the VCS as a platform to not only develop for, but to help other people release their games on as a publisher. Braillynn is here. Braillynn, how you doing?
Doing good. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you. Glad to have you on finally. We've been talking for a while about maybe having you contribute a little bit to the Atari network. Tater Pants, how you doing?
Pretty awesome. Glad to be here, man.
Good. We're glad to have you. And it's awesome having a VCS developer here with us. I think people like Tater Pants and companies like LUCID Potato Games are going to keep it going for a very long time. So we're excited to feature people such as yourself on the channel.
Well, I've been behind a keyboard since 1984. Oh, wow. So I've been in the industry for 40 years, and I've led various groups and small outfits in the past. My last one before joining on with SauerPro was a small group called Frozen Utopia. And we released one game on the TurboGrafx 16 called Mysterious Song. It's a old school Japanese style console RPG. After that, I joined on with SauerPro, and we released FX Unit Yuki, which originally was on the PC Engine, and then we had a PC port that we had planned. We also got a release on the Nintendo Switch. Along the way, we had a big fan of FX Unit Yuki, and he's also a very big fan of the VCS. And he's like, I would really like to see FX Unit Yuki come out on the VCS. So he had reached out to Saramaro at one point, and I don't know the details of exactly what happened with that, but eventually he also reached out to me and connected me with the business development guy at Atari. So, I got on the platform. It's a very easy platform for me to use. And so I began the process of converting the PC version of FX Unit Yuki to the VCS, which, to be frank, was not difficult.
You know what I love about that story? It goes to show that if there is a game that you want to see on the VCS, just reaching out to the developers, the companies, it's worth the time and effort to do, because it sounds like this person reaching out to you really introduced you to the idea of publishing and developing onto the VCS.
Knowing that the VCS maybe doesn't have the largest user base, and the console doesn't have the best reputation at the moment, what inspires a developer to even look at the VCS?
I think the biggest thing is the ease of deployment. the VCS is basically just it's a mini computer. And so basically it's a little Linux box. Kind of like an Android, but in console form. I think another thing is the fan loyalty to the console. That's both a good thing and it can be a bad thing. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You have people who are willing to buy pretty much anything, which is the good part. And then the bad part is you have people who are willing to buy pretty much anything. It's the same thing. It's just, depends on how you look at it. Because, you could put out a piece of, absolute trash on the console and someone's going to buy it because they're so starved for new software,
Lucid Potato has released a singular game on the VCS as of right now, known as The Baker, El Panadero. The game was not actually developed by Tater Pants, but as he will explain, it was actually done by a very talented individual and friend from the Far East.
This is a game that I published on the VCS. It was actually developed by a Sketchy Ceviche, who is a Mexican living in Japan.
What, for those that don't know, does a publisher do?
In my case, I will promote the game and I will be the one to handle things, basically the distribution, and I handle the money aspect of like royalty payouts, stuff like that. For this, I didn't do much in terms of the development. I did some localization for this. So I tried out the PC version. I was like, yeah, this is a really freaking cool game. And then I noticed that he had a Linux version. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on the VCS and see how well it works. Because I already had my dev unit by then. I put it on the VCS and it ran wonderfully. And so I talked to him. I was like, you ever consider putting this on the VCS? He's like, sure, why not? The business development at Atari can be a little wishy-washy.
I feel like every part of Atari can be a little wishy-washy.
I was going to say, similar to the customer service.
I was like, I already have access to the platform, and I already know the game runs. So what if I release the game on the platform?
The Baker is such a fantastic looking and incredibly unique game with its own style and feel, and it really separates it from not only the other titles on the VCS, but other video games in general. It was a ton of fun gathering footage for this video, but more importantly, it's awesome that Tater Pants, under his Lucid Potato publishing arm, is allowing these talented people to get their games on the VCS. But Tater Pants is no slouch himself. He develops games and is very active in another retro gaming community, that of the TurboGrafx-16, aka the PC Engine.
I mean, there are so few PC Engine developers, it's not even funny. I'd say at least half of the few that are there because of me. I did a bunch of tutorials 9 or 10 years ago. It was ages ago. That I explained how to set up a PC Engine game. And, here's how to use sprites, here's how to use tiles, here's a crash course on state machines.
Wow.
But I wrote it in such a way that it was very, very approachable. And especially now, because now there's been kind of a revival of the homebrew scene in the PC Engine. My game, Nyanja, the one that I'm working on with Saramaro, uses the cutting edge version of that compiler. So we are literally on top of the tech, which is interesting to say that for a console that's ancient. Actually very similar to the VCS, which is actually one of the reasons why I like the VCS fan base so much, is because it is so similar to the PC Engine fan base. People are fiercely loyal.
Now, what can we expect from you on the VCS coming up here?
Well, my next release on the VCS is going to be the port of FX Unit Yuki, the Henshin Engine Recode, which is the PC Engine version of the game.
FX Unit Yuki looks really fun and incredible, and has already seen a release on the Nintendo Switch. But bringing it out to the Atari VCS might turn out to be a smart idea, to get a passionate core audience of die-hard fans to take notice. Again, people on the VCS are very loyal, Now, while this game isn't much like what Atari themselves provides, that is an absolute good thing. Variety, after all, is the spice of life. So while we all enjoy pick up and play arcade-inspired games, having something like this could be a breath of fresh air on the console.
And it has a little bit of Atari exclusive content in it. I won't say what it is, obviously.
Oh, nice.
Excited for that.
Right.
And it's the full game as originally envisioned by Saramaru. We were constantly running into space problems. And so a lot of the content had to be cut.
Oh, wow.
And so the recode version includes all of the content that was cut. It's just a better game, you know?
Yeah, it just looks like an awesome game, but I see like what looks like a game I used to play, Wonder Boy and Monster. Yes. Yeah, it almost looks like that here. And then I see elements of Castlevania in it. I see elements of Cotton, it looks like almost. I mean, this looks like a fantastic game. I can't wait to see it on the VCS.
I also think that like the quality of the titles that you're bringing to the platform, you know, could even be inspiring to other developers to not just put like their shovelware on the VCS, but put something, you know, quality on the system.
I'm always trying to up the bar. And I hope that other people, you know, would see that and do the same. That's my hope.
But that's not all that Lucid Potato and Tater Pants are working on. As it turns out, they plan on supporting the VCS with several releases over the upcoming months. Great news for fans of the console, and for people who picked one up over Black Friday and the holidays of 2024.
It's Nyanja.
Yep.
Yes, this one is also going to be on the VCS. It may be a little bit afterwards, but I am developing both versions of this game side by side.
Will this also include any VCS exclusive content when it gets released to the platform? Awesome.
Yes, this will have VCS exclusive content. This is an arcade platformer. Specifically, it's a single screen arcade platformer. The main inspiration for this was Bubble Bobble and Snow Brothers. He wanted to use his character Nyanmaru, who is the cat in blue. This is his oldest character. It goes back, I don't know, maybe 15 years. But he could never find a developer willing to make a game with him. He couldn't find a programmer because he's not a programmer himself. And since I'm so stubborn, I was like, all right, I'll take it on. So.
Well, it looks like a very fun game. So very exciting stuff coming forward from you here on the VCS, and we're looking forward to it all. Projected release dates for either of these titles, or will they just come when they come? It
really depends on the business development at Atari, because Yuki is going to be submitted for release very, 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 very soon, probably within the week. It's just going to depend on how long it takes for them to move it from the submission to the marketplace. They try to release like a few games at a time. Nyanja is going to be going to Kickstarter in April, and we're looking at probably a May or June release for the PC Engine version, depending on how well the Kickstarter goes. Shouldn't be far behind, because like I said, I am developing them side by side. The slight adjustments that I need for the VCS version, which isn't much, to be honest. It's not much at all to change. And then I will put that in the submission queue, and go through the QA, and then they set up a release date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's going to be interesting to see how Lucid Potato's games take off on the platform, and if they make a real impact or not on Atarians. I'd like to thank Tater Pants of Lucid Potato for being the first developer/publisher to be featured in this new video highlight series. Highlighting the hardworking people on the Atari VCS 800 is very important to me, and I wish them nothing but success moving into the future. I'd also like to thank Braillynn for taking time out of their schedule to work with me on this video and for facilitating the interview. They are very active on the Atari Network Discord, which you can join by clicking the link in the description below. And Braillynn has a massive knowledge of the Atari 8-bit homebrew world and video games in general. With any luck, we might have some more help on covering the Atari 8-bits in the future. If you want to see the full interview that myself and Braillynn held, then it'll be up for members of the channel and Patreons right now. Speaking of which, if you want to support the channel, then please leave a like and subscribe. That helps me more than anything else you could do. But if you want to go above and beyond, you can also become a Patreon supporter or YouTube member for $5 a month. These classy Atarians have done just that, and I couldn't thank them enough. They get full, unedited interviews with people like ECDHE, who is teaching me about programming for several Atari platforms, and, well, interviews like this one with Braillynn and Tater Pants. Thank you all for the support. You guys rock. Also, please let me know if you're excited for FX Unit Yuki or any other Lucid Potato games that we featured here. And did you get a chance to play El Panadero, the baker on VCS or any other platform? Did you like it? If so, leave me a comment down below. I respond to all the day one comments when I upload my videos. Well, almost all of them. Anyway, with all that said, I'd like to thank my guest again, Tater Pants of Lucid Potato and Braillynn. I've been the 7800 Pro Gamer, a man who enjoys video games in all its forms here at the Atari Network. And as always, remember to stay classy, Atarians.
And it sounds like it's going to be a really great year for the VCS with your releases coming out. You know, now doing publishing. Do you have any projects in mind that you're looking to publish, or any developers that maybe they've got a game release that you're thinking you could work with them to bring it to the VCS?
Yeah, there's a couple of them, actually. First of all, Sketchy Ceviche has another game that's coming out soon, and I don't remember exactly what it's called, El Boletero, something like that. But it's a space ticketer. I think he called it. You like bring people to a bus stop, and you use this weird grappling hook type thing to get around the level. It's really, really strange. It's really unique. I've never seen anything quite like that before.
Oh, wow.
And